Welcome back to Audiobooks by H.G. Shuler. Earth Chronicles, Book 1, The Fifth Pinnacle. Chapter 17. Modern day, 18 hours earlier. The distant sound of music could be heard drifting peacefully, gliding low on the breeze across the deserted beachfront. The bright and broad rim of the sun had been sinking slowly throughout the afternoon. Appearing motionless, methodically it slips beneath an even broader ocean of water. In a sudden blaze of glory, an orange horizon burst onto the scene. With sprays of ocean mist touching his face, Carter watches the beauty and listens as a steady shrilling of locusts from nearby shrubs and palm trees blend delicately with the music. With the sun nearly gone, he looks southward in the direction of the music. Earlier, against Jen's wishes, he had decided to forego a concert now being blasted in full tilt about a mile away at the Myrtle Beach boardwalk. He wasn't up to going, just not in the mood, or more accurately the right frame of mind. He stands barefoot in the sand, his hands poked into the pockets of his jeans, still steaming that he was not invited to Lexington for the all-important meeting. Behind him, beyond the hotel's swimming pool, came the sound of a voice, and instantly the steady pulse of the insects turns to silence. When he turns, he can see Jen shouting and waving for him to come. Dusting the sand from his feet, he slips them into his rubber sandals, steps onto the wooden walkway, and starts heading her way. While he strides along, the locusts start up again, so he claps his hands, and for the second time they instantly stop. When he reaches her, her forearms are parallel and crossed just above her waist. "Are you still pissed?" she asks while reaching out touching his arm. His face, already tense and rigid, now takes on a look of denial. Trying not to look at her, he struggles for something to say. "You're still pissed. I can tell." He couldn't meet her eyes with his own, or look at her at all, so he fixes his stare on the hotel building behind her. He can feel her watching him, contemplating him. It made him come unhinged, like something was inside himself that he needed to get a handle on. "You gonna say something? Or do you think I don't want to hear? Because if that's it, you're wrong. I do want to hear. I want to know what you have to say." He gives a quick glance in her eyes, then back to the hotel building. "I'm fine. Really. For heaven's sake. Carter, of course you're not fine. It's written all over your face. I don't blame you. You have a right to be mad after being left here." He fidgets with his hair, running his hand through it and rubbing the side of his head. "I think the worst part is I never even suspected I wouldn't be going." He turns around looking out over the ocean, and simultaneously the lights around the pool click on with a brief buzzing sound. Darkness is amplifying, pushing away the last rays of light. Without looking, he reaches out, feels for her hand, taking it into his own. "I thought that I was a part of it all, that they needed me." "They do, Carter. Then why am I still here? It's not like they lied to you. They never made any promises. They must have believed that leaving you here was the right thing to do. Or maybe it was the safe thing. I mean, we aren't like them. They've got powers, like really incredible superpowers." He rubs his eyes, then looks up into the sky, not really looking at anything. "I gave them what they needed, played my part. How quickly they forget." She presses her head against his shoulder. No, they didn't forget. You're just upset is all. They wouldn't blow you off like that. Everyone agreed that your solution was the best way to go. So what do I do now? Now? Oh God, I almost forgot. Someone called our room. It's why I came to get you." "Who was it?" "I'm not sure exactly. It was a girl, hotel staff, I guess." "What did she want?" "She said to tell you there's an envelope waiting for you at the front desk. And to come first chance you get, it's time sensitive." "Time sensitive? I know, right? I thought it was strange, too. After everything that's happened, it seems something might be off. I don't know what. Do you think it's some kind of trap? Maybe? Then again, maybe not. I know one thing, though." "What's that?" "It's time we find out." With the sun now completely down, a deep gloss from the moon shined across the pool, reflecting off the water. Carter could see it dimly lighting Jen's face. He could see her amber hair, too. It still mesmerized him. He tilts his head forward lightly, kissing her on the lips, then turns pulling her by the hand, walking to the inside of the hotel. At the front desk, they notice a girl with electric blue hair, matching lipstick and mascara. She's humming a pathetically bad 80s tune as she opens a wide set of blinds. It seems she's in a dreamlike state. The sultry, beaming moon shone through the window in all its glory, shining its light on the parking lot. "Excuse me," Carter shouts. The girl flinches, jumping backward. She inadvertently drops the string, watching as the blinds, shrieking loudly, come crashing back down. One side of them appears a twisted, mangled mess. She turns around, red flashing across her face, giving her a bizarre, psychedelic skin tone. "You scared the crap out of me. Sorry. Forget the apologies. Just be more careful next time." She walks towards him. "What do you need that's so important anyway, pretty boy?" She looks at Jen, who is giving her a smirk. Carter shifts uncomfortably, placing one arm around Jen. "Maybe we should start over. I was told there's an envelope waiting for me here. Your name?" "Carter Lancaster." "Just checking. You never can be too safe. There's thieves, druggies, perverts, weirdos, sex-starved." Jen's head goes slightly up and backward. "Did you say weirdos?" "That's right. You need to be aware of your surroundings. Really, if you've been doing this as long as I have, you can spot them right off." Turning her attention back to Carter, she reaches her hand out of sight below the counter while putting on an artificial smile, the electric blue lipstick and mascara widening across her face. She lifts up a small, white envelope. "This is yours." Her eyebrows relax as she loses the smile, her lipstick and mascara wrinkling like a sail losing its wind. "You mind if I go back to the blinds now?" Trying hard not to laugh, he just smiles while ripping at the envelope. Turning, he motions with his eyes for Jen to follow and walks to a sofa in the lobby. While reaching into the envelope, he glances back at the girl, fumbling with the blinds. Smiling again, he looks at Jen. "Have I told you lately how beautiful you are?" She punches his arm playfully. "Just tell me what it says, lover boy." "This is strange. It's just a piece of paper. It has room number 116 with the word urgent. Are you thinking about going?" His eyebrows raise as he moves his eyes from the piece of paper back to Jen's face. "I don't think we have a choice." "Yes, we do. We could just leave. This could be a trick. If they wanted to harm us, they would have done it already. They obviously know where we are. If we leave, they'll probably just follow us. So that's it then. We go to room 116. Like now. The paper says urgent. It could be important. Since the room was on the first floor, it only took a minute to walk down a hallway, another minute to walk a second hallway, and knock on the door. The man answering surprises Carter. "Ansel, you're here in Myrtle Beach." The two friends briefly hug. "What's going on?" "Your note said urgent." "It is. Very." He's scratching the side of his head. Then he moves his arm out, inviting them in. Almost immediately, they see another figure standing toward the back of the room. "Is that Dylan?" Carter asked, walking past Ansel. "Okay, now I am confused. Somebody needs to tell me what's going on." Dylan doesn't waste any time answering. "Your regenerated friends have been tricked. Danny's not who they think she is. She's a plant, a really good one. She was just gathering information, setting your friends up. She knows about the plan, about everything. They're in some deep trouble." "That sounds ridiculous. And if it is true, why are you telling us? Why do you even care?" "It double-crossed me. That's why. They double-crossed a lot of people. They've reached their quota. They're not regenerating anyone else. They're going to kill every aging person and repopulate the earth with only their precious, perfect regenerated ones. Because of their new and improved bodies, we're calling them the Nabe. And right now, the Nabe have two opposing sides. If we don't help your friends, the ensuing civil war between them is going to be over fast. You haven't seen Harlan lately. He can stop them." "You're wrong about that. Your new and improved grandfather doesn't have a chance." "How do you know that? How do you know any of this?" "They made a critical mistake by trusting me and letting me get too close. So I eavesdropped. Oh, I was careful. Only a few minutes at a time. More than that, and they would sense something. I've known that for a long time. If they had sensed something, it would have been all over for me. You know me, Carter. I take care of myself. I was always in this for myself. It's why I agreed to join them in the first place. I thought if I did what I was told, I'd have a free ticket to immortality. But a few days ago, I finally put all the pieces together. And in a few weeks, their plan goes into action. Everybody will think a super virus is wiping out the whole freaking population. And your friends can't stop them, not without help. Why not? It's the Fifth Pinnacle. Harlan is the chosen one now. He's more powerful. In time, yes. But that Danny, she's strong as hell. It'll take him years of practicing his powers to surpass her. Someday he'll be stronger, of course. Maybe even a lot stronger, but not now. Why Danny? I thought Solomon was the strongest, the last chosen one. I thought so too, until a few days ago. I told you I've been eavesdropping. While Danny was here in Myrtle Beach, cozying up with your friends, she was managing to communicate with Solomon. I don't believe you. They would have known. Harlan would have known. You never could admit being wrong. Face it, Carter. Your people made the same mistake with Danny that Solomon made with me. No, you're up to something. Yes, but it's not what you think. I overheard one of their conversations. He had her on speakerphone while he looked out over the Lexington skyline. He's always doing that like he's a god or something. Carter suddenly lunges at Dylan, pointing a finger in his face. You always were the conniving one. What you up to? Tell me. I should just beat your face in right now and be done with this. Your station in Tallahassee have been for a long time. You don't know chicken crap about the goings-on in Lexington. Dylan slaps at his finger, steps back in a defensive posture, readying himself in case Carter takes a swing. The two sworn enemies are on the verge of fighting for the third time in as many months. You need to back away and calm down. And Ansel, you need to update your friend on a few things. Ansel reaches out, covering Carter's outstretched hand with his own. I know how you feel about him, Carter, but he's telling the truth. They brought him back a month ago. They consider him their brightest chemical engineer. These last few weeks, they want him close. Dylan smiles while shaking his head, then starts laughing. Who do you think has been working on the formula to kill everybody? Of course, I never realized they were going to use it on me. Carter shakes Ansel's hand away. Why? You son of a... He lunges again, this time wrapping his hands around Dylan's throat. Dylan snaps his knee up, plunging it deep into the pit of Carter's stomach, forcing the two men off balance. They fall hard against a set of shades covering the window. As they slide along the wall in a rugged fit of rage, the shades explode, loose, plowing to the floor with them. Almost immediately, Carter rolls on top of him. Slinging the shade off him, he swings his arm back in the launch position and lets it soar into the jaw of Dylan. When he draws back to hit him again, Ansel snatches his arm, pulling furiously until Carter is standing up next to him. Rubbing at his jaw, Dylan spits blood onto the floor. You really don't believe in casual talk, do you, tough man? I've had about all I can take fighting with you. He reaches down to his ankle, pulls back his jeans, revealing a small handgun. Quickly, he unsnaps the holster and takes the gun. I don't plan on getting whipped again, so back away. Pointing the gun at Carter's face, he climbs to his knees, pressing his free hand against the floor as he stands up. You don't like me, Carter. You got plenty of reasons, no question about it. But here's the cold, hard truth. Tomorrow morning in Lexington, there's a meeting taking place which you're well aware of, but what you're not aware of is that the crap is going to hit the stratosphere. Technically speaking, they're going to kill James, Grace, and, I didn't hear for sure, but possibly Angela. Then they're going to bring Harlan to a holding location, basically imprison him, and put him through years of programming. If they handle it right, which they will, then they can control him for hundreds of years. That's what Solomon did with Danny, so she knows the game well. At some point, Harlan's powers will just be too much. Then, and only then, will he be the true leader. I don't really care about any of those things, but what I do care about is living, so I've switched sides. Call me a defector, a traitor, a Benedict Arnold. I don't care. I'm a survivor, and that's what I plan on continuing to do. Ansel and I are going to try to do something to turn the tide. You know, I hate having to ask this, but are you with us? Carter's lips compress, and his face tightens up even more in an act of disbelief. He jerks his arm loose from Ansel. You're still an ass, Dylan. That will never change. I'm in. And you know how much I hate having to say that. Now, first things first. Apparently, you have access to the building where their meeting is, but what about the rest of us? How do we get in? You can walk in like anyone else. It's the museum hotel. My guess is the room they're meeting in won't be as easy. You're so freaking smart. You should have been a detective, you know that. Carter tilts his head, looking down, trying not to explode. Just cut the crap and talk. The 5th floor is blocked. Actually, it's always blocked. We call it Solomon's Little Temple. I've spent a lot of time there this past month, so I've got the elevator code to the floor. I know the room, and I know the timing of the meeting. You talk like we could just walk right in with guns blazing. You haven't seen their powers, have you? But I have. That would be grossly underestimating them. Not to mention their head of security. They call him Old Jack, but don't let the name fool you. He's really smart and tough as they come. There'll be 2 thugs that never leave his side and at least one other. Altogether, there'll be 4 of them, all of them knaves. The good thing is Old Jack won't see us as a threat. After weeks of seeing me coming and going with Solomon, he shouldn't even flinch. Makes sense, but what happens when he sees the rest of us? Dylan's cynical laugh starts up again. Do you really need to ask that? Not one of you even remotely resembles a knave. They could be hundreds of years old, but they all look about 18. As long as he sees you with me, he won't blink. Compared to him and his security team, we're powerless. If we're smart, we can use that to our advantage. Since I really prefer not hearing that asinine laugh again, I won't ask if you have a plan. Dylan continues. We need to incapacitate them without making any noise. To do that, it has to be a complete surprise. We'll only get one chance. If we botch this, we're probably dead. So if there are any doubts... Carter looks around to Jen, their eyes meeting in that reflective way. She hesitates, then gives a nod of approval. I can't ask you to do this, Jen. It's just too dangerous. Stop trying to protect me. I hate it when you do that. I'm a big girl, and it's time you start treating me like one. She turns to Dylan. Count me in. Okay, then. Dylan points to a black briefcase. Now that we've got that out of the way, I've purchased 4 of the smallest tranquilizer guns I could find, then modified them to make them even smaller. They can be concealed in a purse, a pouch, or a small container, but I'm afraid not in a pocket. With all the work I put into modifying them, they're still not pocket size. We can equip Jen with a purse that holds 2, and 2 more will be in a vodka box I'll be pretending to deliver to Solomon. That's not out of the ordinary. I've done it several times before, so it shouldn't arouse suspicion. Jen swings a hand up in the stop position. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but my father works for the forestry department. Once in a while, he has to tranquilize a problem bear. They don't fall instantly. They go a little loopy right off, but the drug has to work its way to the heart and brain. Then they fall unconscious. He just usually sits down and waits for the bear to fall asleep. It takes about 15 to 30 minutes. I've done my homework, and you're spot on. So, I've prepped the anesthetics myself. I don't have a chemical engineering degree for the title. The drug will work, and it will work lightning fast, but only if we shoot them in the heart. Anywhere else, it might take a second or 2. Even then, I think we're good. I think I've made it clear how dangerous this is. Carter leans his shoulder against the naked window casement. Lexington's a long way off. When do we leave? If we made good time, it would take 9 hours by car. That won't do. We'd have to drive practically all night. Not a problem, though, because your good friend Ansel has arranged for a private jet. The pilot's on call at the Myrtle Beach airport whenever we're ready. He points to the corner of the room where a punching bag is propped up with a small red circle drawn onto the vinyl. Then he flips up the chrome-colored latch of the briefcase, reaches in, and pulls out a tranquilizer gun. Before we leave, I thought we'd do a little target practice. We got plenty of time. The flight's only an hour and 20 minutes. He hands a gun to Jen. Why don't you go first?
You've reached the end of Chapter 17 of The Fifth Pinnacle by H.G. Shuler. Come back to hear Chapter 18 of Earth Chronicles, Book 1, at YouTube.